Right, so here it is, the puzzle dovetail. How do you do it? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So obviously, if this dovetail here and this dovetail here means well, how can you put it out, and how can you put it out this way, and there's a housing on the other side, it's impossible. Well, the answer lies in the bevel. Hold on. Is this in this bevel? Now this bevel here and this bevel here has to be parallel, going all the way through the timber. And if that's the case, what will happen is, if I can just pull it apart, what happens is that this will slide down the bevel. So you can see now that it's come out. And so we now have a bevel, a rising joint. So when this goes in, as you can see, then this starts to rise up the joint. And as I say, the key to it is keeping these bevels absolutely perfectly parallel to each other, and then that enables it to slide in and out. So what I've done, it's a little bit tight. So what I've done is I've shown you how I went about setting out the timber, how I went about selecting the timber, and all of the cutting and all of the chiseling and everything like that. There was quite a few hours of footage, but I've condensed it into about 8 minutes of footage, because there's not really much anything of interest. And what I'll do is I'll talk over the footage, and then hopefully, if you're going to make this, you might be able to glean some information on it and have a go yourself. Okay, this is me starting to prepare the bits of timber for this puzzle dovetail. So as you can see, a scabby bit of timber, but we're going to just plane it up. It's good enough. It only needs to be, I think, 1.25 by 1 7/8, 2 pieces, 1.25 by 1 7/8 by 6 inches long. I'm going to use 2 different types of timber. I'm going to use a bit of pine, another scabby bit of pine there. But what it'll do is it'll give 2 different colours to the timber, so it'll add a bit of contrast when you actually see the joints in place. So here we go. Again, this will probably get fast forwarded. You don't want to see me doing all this shit because it's very boring. If you want to know how to mark things out, then go and how to plane and prepare your wood and mark things out. See the other video that I have prepared. Right, so here we go. Starting to plane it down. As you can see, really nice bit of timber, lovely colour. I remember getting this bit. This wood was left at the house when I came in, and honestly, I've never seen such wonderful timber. I've used it all around the house, and now I've hardly got any left. But I've got these little bits of these scraps left. So as you can see, I've marked the face side up. I've doing the face edge, planing them away. Now I've decided I'm going to cut this piece in half, and I'm going to get both pieces out of one timber, because the one side of the timber is red and the other side is not red. So I'm going to get a good contrast from both of it. So I've discarded one half because it was split, but the other half is a really good bit of timber. So now I'm going to put the other face edge, or the other edge on. So not the face edge, but the back edge. So I'll be planing that away. As you say, you need a razor sharp chisel or razor sharp planer for this, because if you don't, then it'll just all chip off and it'll just look rubbish. So I have no idea why I'm showing you that. I'm obviously very pleased with it. So I imagine we're going to start planing again in a minute. Right. Yeah, here we go. Plane. As you can see, I'm just getting all the marks out of that. Looks like I've managed it. Well done. Ooh. It's always annoying when the planer stops. You don't. Alright. So, got 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to start marking it up. If you want to learn how to plane up a bit of timber, then I've got a video on that. Right. The marking up of this was very challenging, shall we say. I got the idea from a book. I'm going to show you how to not sharpen a pencil. Use your planer, probably the world's most expensive planer. I don't mind, it's my planer, I'll do what I want. But I'm sure some people will probably frown upon using a bloody planer as a pencil sharpener, but I don't care. I'm going to do it. But anyway, using a nice soft pencil enables you to mark up the timber, but without denting the timber, because if you dent the timber then you're going to struggle getting that mark out, and especially with it being oak, it's going to be a real bugger to plane those pencil marks out if you've gone too deeply. Right, so here we go, fast forwarding for the marking. It did take me quite a while. I got a bit confused as well. I thought I was going to use the dovetail. I was going to use a dovetail template, but when you actually worked it out, it was not possible to use the dovetail template. It needed a different angle. So any use of that is just a red herring. It's not going to be the case. I think I start to abort. You'll see the sliding bevel come out in a minute, and then I start to I have to plane it all off and have another go. So measure 12. Here we go. Bevel's out. I've realised the moment of realisation that the template's not going to work. Right. I believe then this must mean I must have marked it out. I'm going to start cutting. Always quite a nervy time. Maybe I should do my bench. It looks a bit of a mess, doesn't it? Right, there we go. I think I decided to cut it straight away with the tenon saw, but that's a really bad mistake. You should definitely always use the chisel to start the cut marks, because then you get the perfect edge, and especially on a joint like this where you need the accuracy, then always do that. On something where there's no room for error, definitely do this. It's absolutely fantastic. You get really crisp joints. And then just do that, and that gives you somewhere to put your saw to guide in. And chiseling it out. Make sure you leave. I always leave the line in, and then sort of slowly chisel out. It takes a bit longer, but you get smaller gaps. This was the dovetail bit, which was quite tricky, but quite good fun also. Yeah, that's difficult. Just treat it like a tenon, can't go wrong. And chop out going upwards. Do not take it all in one go, otherwise you'll break it out, especially with oak when it's quite brittle timber. Very hard but very brittle. It'll splinter and shatter. Getting somewhere. On my head, starting to put it together again, but so oh yeah, okay. So now doing the bridle bit of it, taking a bit out of the middle, and then I decided I could have probably drilled the middle bit out, but I decided to use a chisel in the end because it just seemed like the right thing to do. So give myself plenty of leeway and then cut back into it. Yeah, this is quite difficult. Dark. It was getting dark. It was dark. So the light has changed in the workshop. I'm starting to get it together now, as you say. So once you're doing that, you're trying to work out where the extra bit of timber is and where you're going to start pairing off. So again, razor sharp chisel is absolutely key. So it's starting to get in a bit closer, isn't it? But yeah, pairing off. It's always quite satisfying, this part of the job. It can be quite frustrating, but also satisfying. It's just getting closer. Just finding where that extra bit of timber is. Oh yeah, it's going in there. Sharpen that blade. Really do nice fine, and then I'm planing the ends off, just finishing it all off. Great feeling. We're almost there. Do that, probably a little bit of sanding up, going with the grain obviously. I think I was going to machine sand it, but I thought, nah, I've used my hand. I've used the hand tools, so come on, let's stick with hand tools. Right, I think that's it. And there you go. And that is how you make the puzzle dovetail.